Hello, dear friends. My name is Sofya Dorinskaya. I am the head of the Medical Information Center. At our center, we help eliminate nutritional deficiencies and restore a person's well-being. Today, I would really like to take a moment to explain to you how this specific treatment differs fundamentally from the standard treatment of almost any other disease. Well, it is quite different from what we usually do, yes. It differs from the basic actions we take to eliminate simple nutritional deficiencies. So here we have a person who is dealing with these complex issues. They are in a more or less stable condition. And then some kind of catastrophe happens to them. A virus or bacteria attacks them or something else happens. In other words, they suddenly take a sharp downturn. And at this point, of course, they go to the doctor. The doctor gives them medication. Medications are substances that interfere with the process, that stop or change the process, that alter it in some way, in one way or another. And that is, in fact, the definition of a medication. And after some time, the person's condition gradually stabilizes and it returns to normal. Take a look at this treatment graph. Most people are quite used to the common idea that if they go to see a doctor or seek out some kind of professional help for their body, and then some specific medical actions are taken, then in the foreseeable future they expect to see results. Return to their true state, the state they were in before. This is what the treatment graph looks like. What does it mean to eliminate nutrient deficiencies? When we talk about the process of eliminating essential nutrient deficiencies, we are really talking about addressing a certain persistent chronic condition of the human body. This condition is not something that simply lasts for a short period of time. It has the potential to persist for many decades throughout a lifetime, slowly and steadily becoming more severe as time goes on. For example, it is quite possible that just last year, or perhaps even 3 years ago, we were still feeling quite active, vibrant, and full of joy in our daily lives. And then we turn 40 and suddenly, for some reason, we start to feel our bodies. Yes, and also, somehow just a short while ago everything was fine, but now there's this feeling like, well, not exactly, I mean, it happens to everyone. Yes, feeling unwell. Sometimes something hurts, then it stops. But still, if we look at life, if we compare how we feel over, say, decades, little by little, our condition gradually gets worse. And basically, the graph looks like this, very slow, a slow, gradual decline. Sometimes we get sick, sometimes we recover, but overall, life goes on. So, when we talk about completely eradicating essential nutritional deficiencies, it is absolutely vital that we shift our approach and change the foundation on which the body operates. This status, so if here we have a certain condition, then here it's already a different status. This is a certain state of existence for the body. What are nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and trace elements? Vitamins, so what are they? They have another name, catalysts. Catalysts are accelerators. They are accelerators. Therefore, when we start eating well and begin to eliminate nutrient deficiencies, our overall physical condition begins to show signs of steady improvement, slowly and incrementally over time. And then we eventually reach a stable plateau phase. If we keep going, we experience a bit of a decline, a kind of wave of worsening. It may even start with some worsening. It has been observed that when a person begins to eliminate nutrient deficiencies, all symptoms seem to intensify. That's right, it's as if the body wakes up and says, I'm missing this, and suddenly everything shows up. And the person says, oh, now I have this issue here. Then, literally after a few days, it goes away, and the body's condition levels out at a slightly higher level. Then the person continues, experiences another slight decline, and then again reaches a higher plateau. All of this settles in, And the most interesting thing is that these periods, I've drawn it incorrectly here, but these periods, the further along, the longer they become. And the plateau seems to stretch out, and then there's a decline. A decline, but it's small, not like it was before, it's already higher. Then it slowly rises again, but already at a better state. A person in general evaluates and thinks, no, actually, a few months ago I felt much worse and now I feel better. Well, there are still some things here and there that bother me, but overall, life already feels much brighter. And these intervals increase, these ones, and so we end up with these kinds of waves. Here they are. This is how they turn out, you see? This is exactly how the body's condition changes. This doesn't happen quickly, but it doesn't happen so slowly that it's impossible to notice. Nutrient deficiencies last for a very long time. Quite a few people realize when they buy our books or talk to us, they suddenly become aware that even at the young age of 11, they saw clear signs of pellagra in themselves, or they saw it appearing. Or perhaps at age 9, they had something very similar to that. For instance, there was severe peeling on the heel, and then somehow it just went away on its own. But since the condition is not, since the necessary nutrients were not provided in the right amounts and the condition was not recognized, the symptoms went away, but the status itself did not change. Little by little, little by little, little by little. These deficiencies follow a person around, and they become the state of the body that a person ends up with at a certain conscious age, with those illnesses, with those chronic diseases, and so on. So when we talk about eliminating nutrient deficiencies, we are talking about changing the very foundation of how the body functions. And it's actually a good thing that this doesn't happen quickly. This is a great blessing for us because rapid processes can be deadly. For example, if a bullet hits us, that's it, it's over. Or say a brick falls on your head and that's a sudden change. Or if you catch some infection, that's also a sudden change. Either you survive or you don't. And that's a very bad thing. The body has what is called rigidity or limited mobility. Or, in other words, it's not easily subject to change, and that's our great fortune. That's precisely why we can live for quite a long time, decades even, in a state of deficiency, and still function, still learn, raise children, go to work, and somehow keep going in life. We might even achieve something in this life. But still, there will always be a feeling that you'd like to be a bit more energetic. Life just goes on as it is. And when we start to address these deficiencies, the same principle applies. It doesn't reach the necessary level quickly. And I'll say it again, this is a very good biological mechanism because it gives us the remarkable ability to live in extremely harsh and unfavorable environmental conditions is quite impressive. But at the very same time, when we finally create more favorable conditions for the human body, the gradual transition toward a significantly different and much better level of physical functioning is, in principle, considerably more drawn out and time-consuming than one might expect, although it is certainly not so much that it would pass by completely unnoticed by the individual. Well, these are our latest achievements, yes. For example, a woman spent several months correcting nutrient deficiencies, a woman from America, and the level of carcinoembryonic antigen dropped to normal. That's it. So she had been going to doctors, sending in all her test results, and now that's it. The level dropped to normal. It took several months for this to happen. Here's another recent report from a woman. A kidney cyst that she had for a very long time disappeared. She wrote that she had had a kidney cyst for several years, and now it has dissolved. It also took several months for this to happen. A woman had a cyst in her thyroid gland disappear. This also took several months. So when we talk about eliminating nutrient deficiencies, it already takes several months, you see? Nevertheless, it doesn't last 20 days, it doesn't last 30 days, it doesn't happen within the course of treatment. By the way, perhaps that's why even when doctors wrote comments regarding nicotinic acid and diabetes, I have such a case. A video, Diabetes as a Sign, about pellagra, and there I talked about the story of a boy whose mother listened to our video, and after giving him nicotinic acid, his blood sugar normalized and he was able to stop using external insulin. What did the doctor write in response? We tried it. Nicotinic acid did not live up to expectations. What did I write in response? It did not meet our expectations. To which I think quite reasonably replied, whose expectations did it not meet? For this particular boy, it did meet expectations. Perhaps medical doctors never noticed this particular area, for one very simple and straightforward reason. These patients typically require a specific treatment schedule. They have an insurance company to answer to, and everything must be carefully structured to fit within the rigid framework of a sick leave certificate. But we are dealing with a fundamentally and entirely different biological principle here. You see, it is not just a different mechanism, but it is a completely different biological principle of how the body actually functions. And if you measure the effectiveness of eliminating deficiencies in 10, 20, or 30 days, as it used to be, there was a 30-day sick leave, the maximum a general practitioner could give, and after that there's a commission asking why you haven't cured the person. In reality, if the person hasn't been cured, then he goes on to some institutes or clinics, he gets referred, and everyone tries to figure out why not. And of course, within 30 days, although for that particular boy there were very rapid improvements within 10, 20, or 30 days, then yes, of course. But here, we are dealing with a different type of approach to the body. Yes, this is a different type. It's a biological principle, a bit different. Here, in treatment, we need to quickly resolve the destructive objective factor that we have identified. But here we need to change the very foundation of how the body functions. The foundation of functioning, the status, cannot be changed in just 20 days. It's simply impossible to change it in that time frame. That's exactly the point. Perhaps it's the lack of understanding of the difference between types of reactions, the difference in how the body recovers that leads to this confusion. How is it possible? How can it be like that? We succeed, but you don't. It's precisely because you're looking at different types, you're thinking in different categories about when something should help. But we have a special technology for tracking changes, a unique technology. And I can say that changes begin immediately. But there are certain nuances in how to notice them. Do you understand? And this is exactly what our special principle is about. That's why we are able to help people eliminate nutrient deficiencies and achieve such remarkable results. So if you're interested, please come submit a request for a test on our website and we will help everyone. All the best. Goodbye.